Shalom, sister, shalom, Kohola Yahweh Bahashim, Hamashiach Mamalak Yahushai. All honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Hamashiach Mamalak Yahushai. I wanted to just touch on Ephesians 4:29, and we can kind of build off of that, right? Let no 4:29 through 32. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. So you don't want to have that corrupt communication where you end up talking about a whole bunch of, you can end up go off in your conversation. You might start talking about things of the world. Now you're talking about when you used to smoke weed, or when you used to be a stripper, or when you used to be a prostitute, or you kind of going back. You got that Lot wife spirit, kind of looking back at that old you and that old lifestyle that you had. That can I'm just using that as an example of corrupt communication. And you don't want to let none of that proceed out of your mouth, but you want to use which is good for edifying. You want to say the things that are going to be edifying to sisters, the things that's going to uplift sisters through the spirit, the things that are going to uplift your children through the spirit. How about Shai? But that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers, that the things that you say may minister grace into those who you're with. Whether you're having that holy conversation, you're ministering that grace unto sisters and unto your children, if you have children. Verse 30. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of God, whereby ye are sealed unto the day of redemption. 31. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. So if sisters feel like that bitter and I want you to go in the house, okay? That bitter spirit and that anger, that holding on to whatever it is, and that having that unforgiving spirit, you're not going to be able to grow. There's no way you're going to be able to grow through the spirit. It says, be put away from you with all malice. Put all of that away from you. Put all of that bitter, that angry, that resentment, or what, if your husband hurt you or a sister hurt you, be forgiving, be forbearing, and put all of that away from you. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Hamashiach Yahushua's sake has forgiven us. So even if somebody did do something to you, somebody did, it's been situations where, I thought my dog went downstairs. It's been situations where I've been, what's the word, lied on. We've all been lied on. We've all been through a lot of situations, but you have to be forgiven as the Lord forgave us, right? I want to bring out Titus 3 through 2 through 4. To speak evil of no man, to be no more brawlers, but gentle, showing all meekness unto all men. For we ourselves also were sometimes foolish, disobedient, deceived, serving divers lusts and pleasures, living in malice and envy, hateful and hating one another. But after that, the kindness of love of God our Savior toward men appeared. So we don't want to speak evil of no man. So even if a sister did you wrong, or even if your husband did you wrong, you don't want to speak evil of that person. You don't want to speak evil of them at all, right? And to not be brawlers. You're quick to fight, but you want to be gentle, showing all meekness unto all men. And that's what I brought out in my last video, having that meek and humble spirit. That's really having that lowliness of mind. So what you feel and what you think isn't that important. It's not more important than the words of the Lord. And the words of the Lord is telling you to put all of that away. In Ephesians 4:29 through 32. Set all of that to the side. That's humbling yourself. Humble those thoughts that you're having. Put all of that to the side and speak evil of no man, no matter what they do to you. For we ourselves are also were sometimes foolish. We was like that in the world. A lot of the times when we was in the world, I remember we used to have that, man, that that such and such, F that person's spirit, or forget them, and she did this, that, and the third. You don't even got to do that. You don't even have to explain what somebody did to you. You don't gotta call them out their name. You don't even gotta talk about it, because the Lord is going to deal with it. The Lord is going to deal with all things. The Lord is a God of knowledge, and by Him actions are weighed. So everybody's actions are going to be weighed up in the heavens. Like I told my son this yesterday. Your actions are going to, the angel's going to bring your actions to the Lord, and the Lord is going to weigh your actions. Then He's going to place judgment. And you always want to ask the Most High to give you righteous judgment in all things that you do, in all your actions. But you have to be gentle, showing all meekness unto all men, right? But we used to be like that, deceived, living in malice, envy, hateful, hating one another. We used to live like that in the world. So that's why we have to be patient, because we were once like that. We were once envious. We once had a very envious spirit. We had in the world, a hateful spirit. A lot of us in the world weren't forgiving. We didn't have, the words of the Lord that were able to change, our spirit. We didn't have the words of the Lord. So, and it's a lot of people that say they're in the truth, which is the law, that aren't really in the law yet. They know that they're Israelite, but just because somebody says that they're in the truth, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're in the truth. They're not in the law. They're not well studied. They don't have understanding. So you have to be forbearing and long suffering with these people, because whether it be your husband, whether it be sisters, because a lot of Israelites, they know they're just Israelites, and they're trying. They don't know the precepts on how to handle your emotions and how to deal, and they don't know that you shouldn't be speaking evil of another man, or they don't know how to be forgiving. They don't know how to apply Matthew 18. So you have to be forgiving, because we were once like that. We didn't know these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? And I want to bring out Colossians. That leads me to bring out Colossians 3:13-15. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Mashiach forgave you, so also do ye. And above all these things put on charity, which is the bond of perfectness. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. So you have to be forbearing one another and forgiving one another. That if you got a problem with somebody, that forgive them. Even as Hamashiach Yahushua forgave us. So you have to do the same thing. Alright, and then it's also telling you, look, the Paul kind of also saying throw in some charity too. Throw in some charity on also being forgiven. Somebody could do you wrong, and I'm going to say your sister or your husband or your mother, whatever the case may be, your father, your auntie, uncle, co-worker, whoever, somebody may do you wrong, but at the end of the day, you can also be charitable to that person. You don't have to necessarily give that person a cup of coffee, an orange, a gift, whatever the case may be, a card, a letter, but you can be charitable by praying for them. Pray for people. When you see that people are not in the right spirit, the best thing to do is to throw up a prayer that the Lord blesses them with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and that they can acknowledge their ways and repent. Okay? And that kind of goes into verse 15. And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful. So you have to let the peace of the Lord rule in your mind. Alright? Because we're all called to be in one body. Right? I keep looking around because I gotta make sure my dog don't go downstairs. And that leads me to Galatians 6:1-10. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, and I have a video on this, restoring one another in the spirit of meekness. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such in one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. So I could be in a situation where a sister came over my house and she started let's say she started talking bad about I don't know, I'm just saying my husband, I'm just making an example. Say a sister started talking bad about my husband, and I don't want to, I could either, you got two options. We really only got one, but I'm using it as an example. I could be like, yo, who are you talking to? Why are you talking about my husband like that, etc.? Like, you need to get out of my house. Like, I know you not talking because your husband, this, that, and the third. Whatever the case may be, I'm going off. Now I don't have the fruits of the spirit. I'm not being kind. I'm not being patient. So now you got to think about it. So what's the best thing for me to do in this situation so that the same thing, so that I can restore her in the spirit of meekness, so I'm not going to be in that same situation doing the same thing that she's doing. So now you got to think about it. That's why sometimes I feel like it's when you feel like you're being offended or someone is saying something to you that you don't like, take a minute. You don't have to always respond right away. You could literally look them dead in the face and just look at them for like maybe a good 10 seconds. Or you can say, excuse me. This is what I tell my kids. If you need to go get yourself together, go get yourself together and think about it. Right? So just look. Just give them like 5 seconds and actually think about what you're going to say. Because, let's get this precept. This is Ecclesiasticus 20:18. To slip upon a pavement is better than to slip with the tongue, so the fall of the wicked shall come speedily. So it's better to slip and bust your head. You ever slipped and fell and you slip upon, you're like, dang, I can't believe I just fell. You hurt yourself, you might hurt your knee, your back, your arm, whatever, you're hurt. It's better to slip actually upon the ground than to have a slip of the tongue. So that's why it's very important to take the time to think about what you're going to say to people. Okay? So let's get back to what I was saying. So if I'm quick to be to be combative and to go back and forth, then the Lord could put me in that same situation. And I could be in the same situation talking about somebody's husband. So you want to restore people in the spirit of meekness and say, hey, sister, I really didn't appreciate, you talking about my husband like that, and, I would never do that to you, and I would appreciate if you didn't do that anymore. That really made me feel this, that, and a third type of way. So that's restoring in the spirit of meekness and also bringing out precepts. Anytime you're going to restore someone in the spirit of meekness, bring out a couple of precepts. Let them know, etc. You're talking about my husband, but here's a precept to what you were bringing out. I understand what you were saying, but can you not, I didn't like how you said it, etc. Whatever the case may be, you want to do it in the spirit of being humble, having that lowliness of mind. Think not giving yourself over to your emotions. And that's one of the things that a lot of sisters struggle with, your emotions. You have to put aside your emotions, because you're putting aside your emotions is what makes you give that meek answer, because you're going to be putting aside your emotions and then giving your thoughts over, and your words are going to be the words of the Lord, if you understand what I'm saying. So instead of you speaking what you want to speak, speaking vanity, you're going to end up speaking the words of the Lord. All right. And it says, considering thyself, because consider yourself, consider, what if you were in that situation? How would you want somebody to talk to you? How would you want somebody to correct you? You wouldn't want nobody going off on you. You wouldn't want, you wouldn't want that. You don't want that heat from people. So you have to consider yourself, lest at least you also be tempted to be in that same position as that sister that was talking or about you, or if your husband did something to you and you kind of end up doing the same thing to him. And that kind of leads me to think, I'm having like a mind, what is it called? Brain freeze. Not a brain freeze, I'm trying to think of this precept. Oh, you don't want to render evil for evil. This is 1 Peter 3:9, not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing. Most importantly, you don't want to go tit for tat, railing evil for evil. Your husband did this to you, and now you're doing the same thing. Consider yourself, lest you also be tempted. Sister did this to you, you want to do the same thing. Again, consider yourself, unless you also be tempted and you be in that same situation. Okay? No, it's cold out here. I'm about to come back in. Hold on. I'm about to end it. All right, bear ye one another burdens, and so also fulfill the law of the flesh. For a thing, okay, we don't have to read all of that, y'all, because it's about 15 minutes in. But I do want to bring out Galatians 6:1-7 to end it off. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So whatever you sow in a world, you're gonna reap that. So if you sowing, you speaking evil, you rendering evil for evil, you're not forgiving, then the Lord is not gonna. You're gonna reap all of that stuff back. You're gonna reap all of those things back. You want the Lord to be loving and forgiving and kind to you, so you should do the same thing. Hey, Stinky. You should do the same thing and treat, your fellow Israelites the same way, right? You stuck? All right, and that's all I wanted to. That's my dog. That's all I wanted to bring out, sisters. Come here, stinky butt. Huh? Turn. Okay, I'm about to come in there. But that's all I wanted to bring out, sisters. Lord willing, y'all are being forgiving and forbearing one another and long suffering, having patience, and considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. And that's pretty much it. Let me see if I got. That's pretty much it. Put all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking. Put all of that off of you. Put all of that. You're not going to get the kingdom of heaven. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. You're not going to have that. You're not going to get the kingdom of heaven holding on to that old you or whatever it is, that hurt or whatever it is that you went through. You got to really put aside all of those things and be forgiving. And be loving towards one another. Alright. And that's all I want to bring out, sisters. Shalom. Love y'all. Hopefully this was helpful. And yeah, have a great day. I'll praise to the Most High.